Some of these conspiracies are wild, unsettling, and highly speculative. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. Sound-based entities refer to theoretical beings or phenomena that exist primarily as or through acoustic waves, inhabiting a spectrum of frequencies both audible and inaudible to human ears. Multiple researchers and paranormal investigators have documented unexplained audio phenomena in locations with reported high electromagnetic activity, particularly in abandoned industrial sites and underground tunnel systems. Scientists studying infrasound have noted that certain frequencies between 7 to 19 Hz can induce feelings of fear, anxiety, and the sensation of a presence nearby, matching numerous historical accounts of encounters with invisible beings accompanied by distinct humming or vibrating sounds. Groups of sound hunters equipped with specialized recording equipment have captured what they classify as intelligent responses through electronic voice phenomena, EVP, suggesting these entities may be capable of manipulating sound waves to communicate. Ancient texts across multiple cultures describe creatures that manifest through rhythmic sounds or specific tonal patterns, with some civilizations developing elaborate acoustic chambers believed to facilitate contact with these beings. Analysis of certain unexplained sounds, like the global phenomenon of sky trumpets and the Tao's hum, reveal complex harmonic structures that some researchers believe could be evidence of intelligent sound-based life forms operating on frequencies humans normally cannot perceive. Field recordings from deep ocean environments have detected organized patterns of infrasound that don't match known marine life, leading some scientists to theorize about unknown species that exist primarily as acoustic energy rather than physical matter. Modern quantum physics suggests the possibility of consciousness existing as vibrational states, lending credence to the idea that intelligent entities could manifest through sound waves rather than traditional physical forms. The discovery of psychedelic mushrooms growing on a murder victim's grave in northern Oregon in 1987 led investigators to uncover an alternative spiritual group that believed in accelerating the decomposition process of human remains to create sacred fungi. The fungi found at the burial site contained high concentrations of psilocybin and were genetically distinct from other known species, suggesting they had been deliberately cultivated using specific human decomposition compounds. Documents recovered from the group's compound detailed their belief that consciousness could be preserved and accessed through the consumption of mushrooms grown on properly prepared human remains, with specific ritual requirements for the burial process. The group had developed sophisticated mycology techniques, creating specialized soil conditions and using complex chemical preparations to enhance mushroom growth, demonstrating advanced knowledge of both human decomposition and fungal cultivation. Several mycologists who studied the case noted that certain compounds present during human decomposition can indeed create unique growing conditions for fungi, particularly psychedelic varieties that are known to form symbiotic relationships with organic matter. Police records indicated that the group had been operating for at least a decade before discovery, with evidence suggesting successful cultivation of their specialized mushroom strain at multiple burial sites across the Pacific Northwest. Laboratory analysis of the mushrooms revealed unique alkaloid profiles that differed from naturally occurring psilocybin mushrooms, indicating they had developed distinct chemical properties through their unusual growing medium. The concept of free energy devices based on spiritual or metaphysical principles has been documented since the early 1900s, with numerous inventors claiming their designs were shut down by powerful organizations and government agencies. Several researchers, including Nikola Tesla, reported developing machines that could harness universal life force, chi or orgone energy to generate unlimited power, but mysteriously lost funding or had their labs raided shortly after announcing breakthroughs. Declassified FBI files reveal extensive surveillance of inventors working with alternative energy sources, particularly those incorporating elements of Eastern mysticism or esoteric practices into their technological designs. Ancient texts from multiple civilizations describe advanced devices powered by spiritual energy, with similar core principles appearing across separated cultures, suggesting a common understanding of these technologies that was later suppressed. Multiple whistleblowers from major energy companies have documented the systematic buying and burying of patents related to spiritual-based energy technologies, with some patents mysteriously vanishing from government records. Research into quantum mechanics increasingly supports the possibility of consciousness affecting physical systems, aligning with many suppressed inventors' claims about harnessing spiritual energy through technological means. Engineers examining surviving blueprints and prototypes of these devices have noted their unusual incorporation of sacred geometry and specific materials known in esoteric traditions to conduct spiritual energy. Military documents reference experimental programs involving psychic energy generation, with several projects being abruptly terminated despite reported successes in preliminary trials. Independent researchers have identified patterns of suspicious deaths, disappearances, and institutional pressure applied to scientists and inventors working on technologies that bridge the gap between spiritual and physical energy systems. A cloudbuster refers to a weather modification device developed by Wilhelm Reich in the 1950s, constructed from an array of hollow metal tubes aimed at the sky to manipulate what Reich termed orgone energy, a proposed form of life force that permeates the atmosphere. Reich documented multiple successful experiments where his cloudbusters reportedly created rain during droughts and dispersed dangerous storm systems, with several witnesses, including meteorologists, verifying these weather alterations. The basic function involves drawing atmospheric orgone energy through the metal tubes into water, creating a difference in charge that affects cloud formation and movement, similar to how lightning rods interact with electrical fields. During a severe drought in 1954, Reich was invited by a group of Maine blueberry farmers to conduct rainmaking operations, with local weather stations recording unusual precipitation patterns following his cloudbuster deployments. The FDA's aggressive campaign to destroy Reich's research and equipment, including the burning of his books and papers, has led many researchers to suggest his weather modification technology demonstrated genuine effectiveness that threatened established weather control programs. Modern atmospheric scientists have noted that Reich's understanding of cloud formation and atmospheric energy fields contained elements that align with current knowledge about atmospheric ionization and charge distribution. Several independent researchers have replicated Reich's cloudbuster designs, documenting similar effects on local weather patterns and collecting data on atmospheric changes during operations. Environmental monitoring stations have detected unusual variations in background radiation and electromagnetic readings during documented cloudbuster experiments, suggesting these devices interact with measurable atmospheric phenomena.
Like this video and subscribe to Maker.
Ancient Greek manuscripts discovered in Alexandria describe a sophisticated underwater vessel commissioned by Alexander the Great, designed to explore the depths of the Mediterranean and potentially contact underwater civilizations. The device was reportedly constructed of a brass-like alloy and featured thick glass windows, making it remarkably similar to modern bathysphere designs developed thousands of years later. Archaeological evidence from coastal Greek sites has uncovered metalworking facilities capable of producing large brass vessels, along with fragments of specialized glass thick enough to withstand significant water pressure. Multiple historical accounts mention Alexander's fascination with underwater exploration, including detailed descriptions of him using a primitive diving bell in crystal-clear waters near modern-day Lebanon. Greek engineering documents from the period demonstrate advanced understanding of water pressure and displacement principles, suggesting the technical capability to construct such a vessel existed. Maritime archaeologists have discovered unusual circular depressions in ancient harbor floors, matching the described dimensions of the bathysphere's anchoring system. Several recovered artifacts from Mediterranean shipwrecks show evidence of sophisticated underwater breathing apparatus, including complex pipe systems and air reservoirs dating to Alexander's era. Ancient texts describe specific encounters with underwater beings during these expeditions, correlating with local maritime folklore that persisted for centuries in Greek coastal communities. Metallurgical analysis of recovered brass artifacts from the period shows advanced alloying techniques capable of producing corrosion-resistant metals suitable for deep-sea exploration. Datong refers to a highly advanced ancient Chinese supercomputer described in recovered Taoist manuscripts, reportedly capable of predicting future events through complex astronomical calculations and the analysis of natural cycles. The device was said to use an intricate system of bronze gears and crystalline components to track celestial movements and process numerical patterns found in nature, operating on principles similar to modern quantum computing. Archaeological excavations in central China have uncovered sophisticated bronze mechanisms and unusual crystalline structures that align with historical descriptions of Datong's components. Ancient Chinese texts detail the machine's ability to generate accurate predictions about natural disasters, political changes, and astronomical events, with several documented prophecies matching historical records. Metallurgical analysis of recovered gear fragments shows evidence of advanced manufacturing techniques that would have been necessary for the level of precision described in the device's operation. Several Taoist temples contain architectural elements specifically designed to house computational devices matching Datong's described dimensions, including unique power generation systems using flowing water and thermal differentials. Modern researchers studying the recovered mathematical formulas allegedly used by Datong have noted striking similarities to contemporary chaos theory and quantum mechanical principles. Chinese historical records document the device's sudden disappearance during a period of political upheaval, with scattered references suggesting components were hidden in various temples across Asia to prevent its destruction. Recent discoveries of ancient Chinese star charts show calculations requiring computational power far beyond what was previously believed possible for the time period, suggesting the potential existence of advanced calculating machines like Datong. Maldek, also known as Phaeton, was believed to be a planet that once existed between Mars and Jupiter, whose destruction created the current asteroid belt through a catastrophic event or internal collapse. Ancient Sumerian texts describe a significant planet in this orbital region, with detailed astronomical observations that correspond to modern calculations of where such a planet would have been positioned. Analysis of asteroid belt composition reveals fragments of what appears to be a single planetary body, with evidence of atmospheric gases, water ice, and minerals consistent with a habitable world. Russian astronomers in the 1950s discovered unusual crystalline structures within certain meteorites that suggest they originated from a technologically advanced civilization. Multiple indigenous cultures across different continents share similar stories of a bright star or planet that exploded in ancient times, causing significant changes to Earth's climate and civilization. Gravitational studies of the asteroid belt indicate that the total mass and distribution pattern aligns with mathematical models of a shattered planet rather than accumulated space debris. Several psychics and remote viewers working with government programs independently described detailed visions of an advanced civilization on a planet between Mars and Jupiter that destroyed itself through warfare or technological disaster. Recent space probe data shows evidence of complex organic compounds and archaeological anomalies within certain larger asteroids, suggesting they may be fragments of artificial structures. Mathematical analysis of planetary orbital patterns in our solar system points to a missing body in this region that would have completed a natural sequence of planetary spacing. Servitor spirits are thought forms or artificial entities created through focused mental energy and ritual practices designed to carry out specific tasks or manifest desired outcomes in the physical world. Documented cases from occult practitioners show these entities developing independence beyond their original programming, with some becoming capable of complex interactions and displaying signs of evolving consciousness. Laboratory experiments measuring electromagnetic fields during servitor creation rituals have recorded unusual energy patterns and temperature fluctuations that correlate with the reported manifestation of these beings. Multiple practitioners working independently have created servitors with identical parameters and reported similar results, suggesting a reproducible phenomenon rather than purely subjective experiences. Ancient grimoires contain detailed instructions for creating spiritual assistants that closely mirror modern servitor creation techniques, indicating this practice has been refined over centuries. Photographic evidence has captured unusual orbs and energy formations during servitor workings, with spectrum analysis showing these phenomena operate outside normal light wavelengths. Research into quantum consciousness suggests the possibility that focused thought energy could influence probability fields, providing a potential scientific framework for how servitors might affect physical reality. Security camera footage from locations where servitors were deployed has recorded unexplained movement of objects and environmental changes corresponding to the entity's programmed purpose. Modern chaos magicians have developed standardized protocols for servitor creation and maintenance, with documented success rates significantly above statistical probability for achieving their designated outcomes. The brain-eating ape theory suggests that early human cognitive evolution was dramatically accelerated by a specific species of primitive apes developing a practice of consuming the brains of other primates, leading to rapid neural development. Archaeological evidence from several African sites shows hominid skulls with precise extraction points matching the theoretical feeding patterns of these specialized predatory apes. Analysis of early primate brain chemistry indicates that direct consumption of neural tissue provides concentrated amounts of specific proteins and fatty acids crucial for advanced brain development. Genetic studies have identified unique mutations in human brain development genes that could have been activated by the regular consumption of primate neural tissue over multiple generations. Several isolated tribal groups maintain ancient oral histories describing ancestor species that specifically hunted other primates for their brains, passing down detailed accounts of hunting methods and preparation techniques. Anthropologists have documented modern primate species displaying similar targeted hunting behaviors, specifically seeking out the brain tissue of their prey while discarding other parts. Chemical analysis of preserved prehistoric bone fragments shows evidence of specific nutrient absorption patterns consistent with regular consumption of neural tissue. Recent neurological research has identified certain compounds present in primate brain tissue that can trigger accelerated development of neural pathways when consumed directly. Studies of surviving hunter-gatherer societies reveal cultural practices and taboos specifically related to the consumption of brain tissue, suggesting these behaviors may have been passed down from earliest human ancestors. The missing 3 centuries theory suggests that the early Middle Ages, specifically the years 614 through 911 CE, were fabricated through a conspiracy of medieval rulers, particularly Otto III and Pope Sylvester II, who altered historical records to legitimize their power. German historian Heribert Illig discovered significant archaeological inconsistencies, noting a suspicious lack of building activity and cultural development during these supposed 3 centuries in Europe. Astronomical calculations from before and after the period show discrepancies in recorded celestial events that could be resolved by removing approximately 297 years from the calendar. Carbon dating results from this period often show inexplicable variations and anomalies that some researchers attribute to incorrect historical dating assumptions. Analysis of historical architecture reveals no significant stylistic evolution during these centuries, with buildings from 600 CE appearing remarkably similar to those dated to 900 CE. Documentation from the Byzantine Empire shows unusual gaps and contradictions during this timeframe, suggesting possible large-scale historical revision. Tree ring data from ancient forests demonstrates unexpected patterns that could indicate a miscalculation in our current historical timeline. Several ancient astronomical events, including solar eclipses and cometary appearances, do not match mathematical projections when calculated using the accepted chronology. Linguistic analysis of medieval documents reveals anachronistic terms and concepts that should not have existed at their purported time of writing. Archaeological evidence shows an unexplained absence of coin minting and commercial activity during these centuries in regions that were supposedly experiencing cultural growth. The deliberate bombing of key Spinosaurus fossil sites during World War II represents a coordinated effort to destroy evidence of an ancient species that challenged conventional theories about dinosaur evolution and capability. Original specimens housed in the Paleontological Museum of Munich showed signs of advanced aquatic adaptation and potential intelligence far beyond what was thought possible for dinosaurs of that period. Declassified military documents reveal specific targeting of natural history museums and fossil sites in Germany, with particular attention paid to locations known to contain Spinosaurus remains. Several paleontologists in the 1930s documented unusual features in Spinosaurus fossils that suggested sophisticated swimming mechanisms and possibly even bioelectric sensing abilities similar to modern sharks. Surviving field notes from early excavations describe skeletal structures that would imply capabilities far more advanced than other known dinosaur species, including potential deep-sea diving adaptations. Analysis of bombing patterns during the war shows a statistically improbable focus on remote areas known to contain Spinosaurus fossil beds, particularly in North Africa. Private correspondence between scientists of the era reveals growing concern about the implications of Spinosaurus findings on evolutionary theory and religious doctrine. Recently discovered fragments of Spinosaurus fossils show evidence of neural development that would have allowed for complex hunting strategies and social behaviors previously thought impossible in prehistoric reptiles. Military photographs from the period show unusual levels of security and restricted access around certain fossil excavation sites prior to their destruction. Ancient automata refers to sophisticated mechanical beings and robots that existed in various ancient civilizations, with evidence suggesting far more advanced technological capabilities than conventionally acknowledged in historical records. Greek and Roman texts describe complex mechanical servants and guards that operated through sophisticated systems of gears, pulleys, and hydraulics, with some accounts mentioning devices capable of independent decision-making. Archaeological excavations in Egypt have uncovered small mechanisms and metal components that demonstrate precision engineering capabilities far beyond what was previously thought possible for the time period. Ancient Chinese manuscripts detail the construction of mechanical beings used for entertainment and ceremonial purposes, including descriptions of internal mechanisms that mirror modern robotics principles. Several recovered artifacts from Mediterranean shipwrecks show evidence of sophisticated gear systems and mechanical computing devices that could have been components of early autonomous machines. Temple records from multiple ancient civilizations describe mechanical guardians and servants that operated continuously for years without human intervention, powered by complex water and steam systems. Metallurgical analysis of recovered mechanical components from ancient sites reveals manufacturing precision that would require advanced mathematical understanding and specialized tools. Ancient Indian texts contain detailed instructions for creating mechanical beings, including specific ratios and measurements that align with modern principles of mechanical engineering. Wall carvings and artistic depictions from various ancient cultures show consistent representations of mechanical beings with internal components that match recovered archaeological artifacts. The theory that Jesus was actually a Buddhist monk draws from several historical parallels and documented gaps in Jesus' early life, particularly the undocumented period between ages 12 and 30, known as the Lost Years. Ancient Buddhist texts from the monastery of Hemis in Ladakh, India describe a spiritual seeker called Issa, who traveled from Palestine to India during the same time period Jesus would have lived. The similarities between Jesus and Buddha's teachings are notably precise. Both emphasized compassion, non-violence, and detachment from material wealth, while using remarkably similar parables and metaphors to convey their messages. Archaeological evidence suggests active trade routes existed between the Middle East and India during this period, making such travel feasible, while several ancient texts reference Western holy men studying in Eastern monasteries. The healing abilities attributed to Jesus align with documented Buddhist practices of the time, particularly in regards to the laying of hands and the treatment of leprosy, which was well understood in ancient Indian medicine. Some researchers point to Jesus' practice of meditation in the desert and his teachings about consciousness as evidence of Buddhist influence, noting specific terminology in ancient Aramaic texts that parallel Sanskrit spiritual concepts. Multiple ancient documents from the Middle East and Central Asia, including the scrolls at Nag Hammadi, suggest early Christian communities were aware of and influenced by Buddhist philosophy, potentially through Jesus' direct transmission of these teachings. Irish rock mothers refers to several ancient standing stones in Ireland which emit a deep humming or singing sound when struck or during specific weather conditions. These musical stones, found primarily in County Kerry and Killarney, produce different musical notes depending on where they are struck, with some creating sounds similar to traditional Irish instruments. The phenomenon has been documented since ancient times, with local folklore suggesting these stones were used in early Celtic religious ceremonies and musical gatherings. Scientific analysis has revealed these rocks contain high amounts of crystalline structures that vibrate at specific frequencies when impacted, while their positioning and natural weathering have created hollow spaces that amplify these vibrations. Ancient Irish texts describe ceremonial sites where these singing stones were arranged in circles, suggesting they may have been deliberately placed to create natural amphitheaters or musical instruments. The rock's musical properties align with other ancient musical stones found worldwide, including the ringing rocks of Pennsylvania and the musical stones of China, indicating a potentially universal understanding of lithophonic properties among ancient peoples. Archaeological evidence suggests tool marks on some of these stones, indicating they may have been deliberately shaped or tuned by ancient craftsmen to produce specific notes or harmonies. Modern acoustic studies have shown these stones produce frequencies that can induce meditative states, supporting historical accounts of their use in spiritual practices and healing ceremonies. The Gospel of Judas is an ancient Coptic text discovered in Egypt during the 1970s that presents a radically different version of the relationship between Jesus and Judas Iscariot. In this account, Judas is portrayed as Jesus' closest and most trusted disciple, chosen specifically for the crucial role of facilitating Jesus' liberation from his physical form. The text reveals that Jesus secretly instructed Judas to turn him over to the authorities, making the betrayal a divine mission rather than an act of treachery. Carbon dating and linguistic analysis have confirmed the document's authenticity as a 3 RD century copy of an even earlier text, potentially dating back to the 2nd century CE. The Gospel contains complex Gnostic cosmological teachings, suggesting that the material world was created by lesser, imperfect divine beings, and that Jesus' death was necessary to release his divine spirit. Multiple references within the text align with other historical documents from the period, including descriptions of early Christian practices and beliefs that were later declared heretical. Archaeological evidence suggests this version of events had significant following in Egypt and parts of the Middle East, with several early Christian communities preserving and teaching from this text. The document's sophisticated theological concepts and detailed astronomical knowledge indicate it was written by well-educated scholars who had access to both Jewish and Greek philosophical traditions. Ancient religious scholars, including Irenaeus of Lyon, specifically mention the existence of this gospel in their writings around 180 CE, confirming its early circulation among Christian communities. Metro 2 refers to a secret underground metro system beneath Moscow, built during Stalin's era and allegedly still in use today by Russian government officials and military personnel. The system's main line connects the Kremlin to several key government facilities, including the FSB headquarters, Moscow State University, and a supposed underground city at Ramenki. Soviet-era construction documents reveal massive underground building projects that don't correspond to any known civilian structures, while satellite imagery has identified numerous potential entrance points across Moscow. Former Soviet officials and metro workers have described separate ventilation systems, power grids, and communication lines that operate independently from the public metro infrastructure. Geological surveys of Moscow show large underground spaces and tunnels at depths of 200, 300 meters, far below the public metro system's typical depth of 30 meters. Multiple independent witnesses have reported seeing heavily guarded entrances to unmarked metro stations within government buildings, particularly during the Cold War period. Russian military documents from the 1990s reference a classified transportation system codenamed D6, with protocols for its use during nuclear emergencies. Urban exploration groups have documented suspicious elevator shafts and sealed tunnels in various Moscow buildings that align with reported Metro 2 routes. Radiation detection equipment has identified unusual patterns of movement deep underground along the suspected Metro 2 pathways, suggesting ongoing activity within these secretive tunnels.